Hey, it's the Weekly Feed, Kyle Meredith, and I've got Ian and Jeff from Passion Pit here. Guys, welcome.
Thanks.
It's nice to have you guys. It's been a fun year. I guess it's been a fun few years now. Gossamer is this pop behemoth that has kind of taken over the world. So that must feel nice.
Yeah, it's been great. I can't believe that we're still able to tour on it so long.
Well, you guys, there's a new EP too, right? The Constant Conversations.
Right, yeah. It's got an alternate version of Constant and a B-side and a remix, I think.
Yes, it is, like these days, I think it's so different than even back in the 90s and even before that. Like, it's an EP just to extend the campaign so you can tour some more and make your money? Or is that really like, hey, we love this stuff and we've got this material and we really do want to put it out there? Because it really could go either way.
Yeah, I think it was just like to let people know that we were still making new music and we weren't just kind of dragging along playing the same stuff. So it was kind of just like, hey, like there is going to be new material, but like our tour schedule was already so stacked that, it was like we're going to release this little thing in this, it was recorded while on tour too, the B-side of Constant. So, no, not really the money thing or...
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It's Jeff's right. It's more of just kind of like a push to be like, we're still touring. Like, people these days go through music so quickly. We want to be able to give them more content.
So you guys are actually already thinking ahead to that next record already.
A
little bit. I mean, there was such a big gap between Manners and Gossamer that I think we're trying to really truncate that amount of time this time and really, keep the forward momentum and, have a little break at home for us to regroup with our wives and significant others. But,
sorry.
All right.
Everything's just falling down. It's funny.
But yeah, definitely keeping the momentum going of what we have now, because we feel like we're, in a good musical place and headspace, and we want to continue that creative energy.
The interesting thing about it, like, you guys are kind of known as a pop band, but I hear so much soul in that I may have gotten heard before, especially in that track. Because, I mean, you can hear a song however you want to hear it, and because of the electronics and everything that's going on in a Passion Pit song, I think it would just be easy to call it pop. But with the kind of fan base that you guys attract, it seems to me that you can introduce sounds to kind of a crowd that might not get to soul if you were to promote it that way. I mean, is that a fair judgment?
Yeah, totally. And that's one of the things I really liked about Gossamer, is that Mike was able to kind of start introducing some new genres that we weren't able to pull off before.
Yeah.
And I think it might hold true, like, moving forward, like, we might be able to stretch the Passion Pit sound a little further into different things that you might not expect originally.
I mean, that's the whole thing about growing, though.
Exactly.
You have to grow if you're going to keep doing it, right? Yeah. You're the sound of 2010. Forever.
Now that's what I call music, 97.
Yeah.
That could be you. But you guys have been able to kind of do that from the beginning with pop music, because I don't know, that it's not like it's the easiest thing in the world to write a great song and a hit song and a catchy song, but at the same time, the people that do it seem to follow this direct track every single time. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is, one of those questions like asking a girl, why are you pretty? It's hard to answer. But at the same time, like, how is it that you guys have been able to do pop music so differently and still be accepted in such a wide, sort of way?
See, I don't really know, because the interesting thing about this band is like our radio presence, like, while it exists, has never really been on like the top charts, and we've never had the really like a hit single, so to speak, and that doesn't really match up with how our touring goes. It's kind of like, it almost is an anomaly with a lot of bands that like the amount of radio play we get doesn't match up with the shows that we play and how big they are and how much we've toured extensively, So it's actually really hard to like point a finger at like what, like why this is happening and what this is causing, because this band has always been this weird place where like we tour a lot, we play a lot of shows, and we're not really sure how it's happening.
I mean, you're still working on your best of, even without a greatest hits.
Mm-hmm. Kinda, yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Well, jumping back to the beginning, is it fair to say that at the very conception of Passion Pit, that started out really as Michael's thing, and you guys were kind of brought into it? When you're in that position, how long did it take to kind of feel like it was a band and how do you as an individual get to flex that artistic muscle when it comes from someone else's, it wasn't a solo project per se, but at the same
Right.
time.
Well, it kind of was. I mean, it started with Micheal writing the Chunk of Change EP, and then he and I had played together in bands before and were friends, and I came in and said, hey, this is like really fun music, let's try to play it live and see what happens. And I mean, so it kind of started as a band already, it just kind of had a different dynamic than a lot of other bands that you're used to, which is something like I talked a lot of interviews about, is the fact that we're not the songwriters of the band.
Right.
There's like one main songwriter, which is Micheal, and he has his hands over most of the record, and then we kind of come in and we're able to kind of put our own stamp on it with the live show, because we completely tear the songs apart, put them back together, recreate anything that's been done in the studio with our own minds and hands and whatnot, and kind of make it our own in that way. So then I think one of the reasons people like to see us play is because it's almost like a different entity from outside of the record, where it's, you know, it's a different sound, it's like 5 people's different takes on it coming together to create this new type of passion pit, basically.
Did you guys feel like it happened overnight? I mean, to the rest of the world, it happened so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the EP was out there, but then it was like, there it is.
I think like I can look back and see the growth and the progression of it, but along that, like every step of the way kind of did seem overnight, you know, like even when we first started touring, like our first tours were sold out, you know, even like in 200-person rooms across the country.
Which is nuts.
But yeah, which is crazy, you know, like we were headlining shows with a 25-minute set. Like I feel bad. I wish I could give money back to all those people who like came to our shows, who were like, all right, like you're here to see us and we're done.
We've got 7 songs.
That's all we got.
Did you guys ever feel comparisons to the bands that really had just trudged it out year after year after year to going, hey, you know, it wasn't us. Don't hold us to that.
Yeah, I mean, we always consider ourselves like one of the luckiest bands ever, because we've been able to see and do a lot of different things quickly as compared to a lot of other bands that we know personally too. They've been in it for the long haul. Yeah. And I mean, I have just as much respect for them as anyone else, like if not more so. Like we're just an anomaly and something.
I mean, no one's going to turn it down. Success is success.
Yeah,
no one's
yeah.
gonna be like, no.
It's been great, but
This
it's
is
always
the early
kind of funny.
90s.
I think the thing with us though is that, you know, like with a lot of big radio bands, the whole flash in the pan thing, you know, they could be huge, playing, you know, 5,000 person venues every night on their album cycle, and you know they take a year off and they come back and they can't sell out a venue worth 500 tickets, and it's very common. It happens all the time, and we've been really lucky where, you know, like we come back and like we continually grow, you know what I mean? Like we take a lot of time off and we're we start our campaign back up and we're like kind of moving to the next level. So I think the slow kind of growth is really good in terms of longevity, you know, to really branding the band, I guess, you know, and like keeping the name awareness out there.
Well, it's done well. Like I said, Gossamer is fantastic, and it's nice to see that the EPs are coming, and there's new music on the way.
Definitely.
So I'm sure we'll see you guys play around.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.